It was a cold Monday morning in New York City. The sidewalks were packed with people rushing to work, yellow taxis filled the streets, and buses stopped every few minutes to pick up passengers. On the corner of a busy avenue sat a small fruit stand owned by a 72-year-old woman named Margaret. Every morning before sunrise, Margaret took 2 buses from her tiny apartment in Brooklyn to reach her spot in Manhattan. She carefully arranged fresh apples, oranges, bananas, and peaches on her wooden cart. Although life had been difficult since her husband passed away years earlier, she greeted every customer with a warm smile. Most people barely noticed her. Some walked past without looking. Others complained about prices that were already lower than the grocery stores. Yet Margaret never argued. She simply smiled and wished everyone a wonderful day. At the same time, Daniel Carter, a 35-year-old millionaire and founder of one of America's fastest-growing technology companies, drove the same route every morning on his way to his office. He owned luxury cars, a penthouse overlooking Central Park, and more money than he could ever spend. But despite his wealth, Daniel never forgot how hard life had once been. Before becoming successful, he had grown up in a poor neighborhood where his single mother worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Watching Margaret every day reminded him of his mother. One morning, Daniel noticed a businessman shouting at Margaret because she couldn't give him change quickly enough. Instead of arguing, Margaret apologized politely and wished him a good day as he stormed away. Daniel quietly parked his car nearby and walked over to the fruit stand. "Good morning, ma'am," he said with a friendly smile. "How much are these apples?" "They're $5 a bag, dear," Margaret replied kindly. "I'll take 2 bags." As Margaret packed the apples, Daniel slipped a $100 bill underneath the fruit basket without saying a word. He thanked her, paid for the apples, and walked away before she noticed. That evening, while cleaning her stand, Margaret discovered the money. She looked around in surprise. "Who could have left this?" she whispered. Tears filled her eyes as she gently held the bill in her hands. God always sends help when we need it most. The next morning, Daniel returned. Again, he bought a few pieces of fruit. Again, he secretly left another $100 bill. And once again, he disappeared before Margaret could thank him. Days turned into weeks. Every morning followed the same routine. Daniel never introduced himself. Margaret never learned his name. She simply prayed every night for the mysterious stranger who kept helping her. Little did Daniel know that the elderly street vendor was hiding a secret so unbelievable that discovering it would change everything he believed about kindness, success, and the true meaning of wealth. One rainy morning, Daniel drove past the usual street corner, but Margaret wasn't there. Her fruit stand was gone. For the first time in months, the sidewalk felt strangely empty. Concerned, Daniel parked his car and asked nearby shop owners if they knew what had happened. "She wasn't feeling well," a coffee shop owner said. "Someone called an ambulance yesterday. I heard she lives alone in Brooklyn." Without thinking twice, Daniel canceled all his meetings and drove to the address the shop owner gave him. The apartment building was old and worn down. He climbed 3 flights of stairs and gently knocked on the door. Margaret opened it with a weak smile. "Daniel. I knew it was you." Daniel froze. "You know my name?" She smiled. "I've known for weeks. I saw you hiding the money one morning in the reflection of a store window. I didn't stop you because I knew your kindness came from the heart." Daniel felt embarrassed. "I never wanted any credit." "I know," Margaret replied. "That's exactly why I wanted to tell you the truth." She slowly walked to an old wooden cabinet and took out a small metal box filled with faded photographs, newspaper clippings, and legal documents. "My real name is Margaret Harrison." Daniel's eyes widened. The newspaper headline read, "Former businesswoman donates entire fortune to build children's hospitals across America." Years ago, Margaret had owned a successful manufacturing company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. When her husband and young daughter died in a tragic accident, she sold everything she owned. Instead of keeping the money, she donated nearly all of it to children's hospitals, homeless shelters, and education programs. She chose to live a simple life because she believed that wealth should serve people, not control them. I wanted to know, she said softly, whether true kindness still existed, whether someone would help an old woman with nothing to offer in return. Daniel couldn't hold back his tears. "I thought I was helping you," he whispered. Margaret smiled. "No, Daniel. You passed the test." A few weeks later, Margaret peacefully passed away in her sleep. In her will, she didn't leave Daniel money. Instead, she left him a handwritten letter. It read, "The greatest inheritance isn't wealth. It's a heart that gives without expecting anything in return. Never lose that heart." Those words changed Daniel forever. He established the Margaret Harrison Foundation, investing millions of dollars to support elderly street vendors, struggling families, and children in need across America. At the foundation's entrance stood a bronze statue of Margaret beside a simple fruit cart. Its inscription read, "True wealth is measured not by what you keep, but by what you give." And every morning, as people walked past the statue, they remembered that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life, and sometimes, it can change the world.